Though, like, I didn't think that bringing in Joe Thornton, a guy who, in all respect, had his captaincy stripped of him, was going to be a question of Jonathan Tavares. And John Tavares is leaving.
Timothy.
I just realized. I'm so sorry, Alex. Wait, what?
I was gonna say Jimothy. I don't know if you've seen The Office. He goes, Jim. Can I call you Jimothy?
By the way, I'm really sorry, Alex. I'd said I'd like let you handle this segment, but then I just
No, go ahead. It doesn't matter. I'll get my words in. Don't worry. You know that. You know that.
I have done over 100 of these with you. When I just didn't think that Joe Thornton coming in was going to be like, I didn't know people were going to take it the route of John Tavares as a terrible leader and she'd be thrown to the wolves.
Here's the thing. I'm not okay.
Okay, get comfortable. I like when you say here's the thing.
Here's the thing. I'm surprised, but I'm not surprised. Right? Like, I act surprised a little bit for the show. Like, listen, when Steve Simmons or whoever hell else says William Nylander should be traded, like, it's not a surprise to me. But I love overreacting to it. Like, what can I say? I have the feeling we actually had this discussion on the show before, like in the middle of a season when they were talking about trading William Nylander. But I don't understand why we have to, like, it's $700,000. Like, are you kidding me? Like, get a life. Honestly, if that's what you're complaining about, go get a life somewhere else. This is it's a joke, man. It's a joke. The guy's making $700,000. He's probably gonna play fourth line center, if that. If he's probably not gonna be a consistent fourth line center every night because the schedule is gonna be jam packed because they want to play 82 games in 5 months. What are you complaining about? What?
I think, like, ladies and gentlemen listening, I think this is the Alex that I like when I go into a lecture hall and I'm like, Alex, how are you? And he's like, Adam. Like, this is the Alex that I really, really know.
Remember lecture halls?
There is, oh God, do I? There's show Adam and then there's podcast Adam, right? There's Alex who is podcast Alex and there is like lecture hall Alex. And of course, when we come on the show, we try and sound as professional as possible, right? And it's like we don't do that BS of being a character, right? Like, we're ourselves.
Sometimes.
But like, we will very much kind of like, I think Alex is much more like straight line of like, this is like how it actually kind of works, and I go off of a more like, yeah, but heart and soul, like Alex is like real thinking about it. I'm like, yeah, but Joe Thornton has a beard. And he'll be like, yeah, he's a good fourth line presence. And what we just kind of heard was like, that's like Alex, like, just really genuine, being like, guys, like, this is just dumb. You just be happy.
But
I haven't seen it because we've been doing the show for so long and we haven't been in school. It's like, oh, there was my journalism Alex friend again.
I did it the other night too. I did when we were talking with Mike. I go, like, here's an idea. Play Jeff Skinner with Jack Eichel. I don't know. Like, I'm not an NHL coach. I'm just some smart ass in front of a microphone. Like, that's what it is at the end of the day. But to literally complain about to say, first off, I don't understand where the criticism comes about Joe Thornton. He's gonna, like, Steve Simmons made it seem to be like the guy's not an NHLer. Literally.
1,000 assists. And he was still an effective player. Like, who do you think has been Kevin LeBank's, like, a lot of the time, Kevin LeBanc is playing with Joe Thornton.
It's honestly, fine. I'll take the William Nylander trade thing. You know what? That's your thing. I understand. This is just a load of baloney. It's very clear what's the word I'm looking for? It's very clear who doesn't like Kyle Dubas and who's perfectly in, like, not perfectly in the middle, but more neutral than biased. Like, it's so clear. What were the things that the media said the Leafs need to do, including these guys who are bitching and complaining? More leadership.
They needed to get
go ahead.
Tougher to play against. They need, maybe that calming thing in the room to help them, lead them to the promised land in a sort of way. They needed like veteran presence, someone who's been there before. Face
Yeah.
punchiness, that kind of
Yeah.
thing.
Mm-hmm.
They needed to play. They need guys that were tougher to play against. They needed a defenseman, and they needed to get rid of someone to fit everything together. They traded Kapanen for a first round pick. What did they say? Oh, they could have done this. Name me one other team that would have gotten a third line winger for a first round pick.
Tampa Bay, and that's it.
That's it.
Yeah.
They got who am I missing? They got TJ Brody. Oh, TJ Brody's like Jake Gardner. Honestly, get a life. And now it's Wayne Simmons, Zach Bogosian, Joe Thornton. Like, yes, Joe Thornton isn't Wayne Simmons, Zach Bogosian tough to play against, but he is a big body.
He's a dad.
What is it that you need Kyle Dubas to do to not? I don't even want you to praise him. I don't even want praising because that's worse. I want you to say, you know what, this isn't that bad.
How does he? You know what? How does he get a check mark in your box?
Right.
That's kind of what you're.
I have the answer for you. I figured it out.
Just quickly. Sorry, just because I'm looking at the clock and I realized, Daniel, you have to go in 9 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
I'll be
Do
quick.
You wanna,
Yeah. Daniel, go.
you
Sorry,
get it
Daniel,
out.
go.
Daniel, I feel bad because I'm looking at it. Like, oh crap! You have to go. Is there anything you want to kind of put on this? Put some whipped cream on this brownie on top of vanilla ice cream.
I think at the end of the day, when it comes to media, there's always going to be things that they try to make stories out of non-stories, where you kind of view it in a way that how you view that you think that you're giving constructive criticism just doesn't really have any base, and you try to make something out of that. I think not just from a fan perspective, but from being objective about it. I think that Hal Dubas really, in a way, kind of addressed what the Leafs wanted. And I'm not saying that, he's at the promised land already. He has the cup, but I'm saying that he saw what the deficiencies were. He saw where the things kind of lagged and he added it. Like, it is what it is. It's not like what do you do? Like, TJ Brody was your biggest spend. And I think that was a necessary spend. And then you go around and get these guys that, again, Alex said, the base is what, $1 million, $1.5 million, like 700,000. It's nothing that's, it's low risk, high reward. And I think the Leafs are in a lot of they're in a better situation than by a mile than what they had against Columbus. So
yeah,
I don't know where the criticism's coming now. So I think we just need to be happy and we need to kind of say, we like this team. We like the composition of it. And, if people want to have their sour grapes, they can.
So firstly, to comment on what Daniel said, the team is not more skillful. It is tougher to play against, right? So what it lost in skill, they gained in tougher to play against. That's my opinion. And I think that's what the team needed. It's not constructive criticism. It's being an absolute baby. That's what it is. It's so clear. It word for word, like they literally did what you said to do, and you're still complaining about it. There's one answer to what they want. It's Tom Wilson. How many times have I said it on this show? There is one Tom Wilson, and that is it. There is one guy in this league who will take your head off and be productive. Now, Josh Anderson is a very close second, but still, there's no one who will murder someone like Tom Wilson and be productive on the ice. No one. Mm-hmm. I don't have anything else to say about George Thornton, but quickly on the Tavares criticism, I think that's a BS move, honestly. Oh, Duncan, I don't necessarily think they need Duncan Keith. Too much leadership.
And once again, they also won with Kimmo Timonen on that team, who used to be a captain of the Nashville Predators in 2013.
That's a good name.
Who needs Zdeno Chara? Too much
Hey,
leadership on that team.
they have now they on top of what he brings, you now have the old guy who needs a cup, which is all. That's a recipe for
Sure.
success all the time. Is you need to get that. You need to get that guy.
Well, what's another team? Let me pull this up. Like I don't know what else to say, man. Like it's such a ridiculous idea that they bring in a guy for $700,000. Number one, you complain about it, like get a life, and number two, it questions John Tavares' leadership. I've never heard a single human being ever say that there's too much leadership in a room.
Like, yeah, if you look at past teams that have won, there's always been like multiple quote unquote captains on it. Like, again, if I use the Ducks as an example, like Scott Niedermayer didn't win it his first year with Anaheim, 2006, and then they go out and get Chris Pronger and Brad May, and like Brad May used to be a captain of the Sabres, and it's kind of the same thing.
You know what? The Lightning don't need Pat Maroon, right? Too much leadership in that room. It's not worth it.
They don't need Ryan McDonough.
Oh God, they
No,
don't need
come on.
Sergachev. They don't need. You know what? They should trade Braden. That's another reason you should trade Stamkos because you don't need the captain.
You don't need the leadership. You know what?
Just give it to
It's
Hedman.
ridiculous.
Right?